Hello, thank you for clicking on this video. I'm Nate Mendel, co-founder and creative director of Oki. I absolutely love organization, automation, things that make our life easier, things that make our business easier. LinkedIn is a huge resource for networking, reaching out, finding leads, finding partnerships, so on and so forth. If you don't already know the power of LinkedIn, you have a lot to learn. But if you do already know the power of LinkedIn and you would like to learn how to automate some of the things that you do manually, there is a great tool, and that is Linked Helper. Linked Helper allows you to automate your work with LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, and LinkedIn Recruiter. For example, in this video, we're going to learn about automating your connection. So connecting to someone on LinkedIn. So let's just go to LinkedIn here, right? Let's go to my network. All right, I have about 7,700 connections. Okay. By connecting to people, I'm broadening my network. And it's a very powerful tool in its own right. Just simply connecting to people is very powerful. Why? Because of the tagline. The tagline is essentially this piece of real estate right here. Okay, you see that everywhere on LinkedIn. You have a person's name, and underneath the person's name, you have their tagline, Trade Show Booth Expert. This piece of real estate is the first thing and pretty much the only thing that everyone ever sees about you on LinkedIn, unless they're going into your profile. I wrote an article, you could check it out on LinkedIn, about using this piece of real estate. Usually, what I have over here, when I'm promoting Oki, is that I write, we build custom websites for free, oki.com. I put that there because it's very powerful, and I get signups from LinkedIn just from this strategy alone. What I write in my article is that nobody cares if you're the CEO of blah, blah, blah company, if you're the co-founder of whatever, if you're the project manager of this and that entity. Nobody cares. It's meaningless. Unless somebody's looking for you, it's meaningless. If you're using LinkedIn to try to get leads, use this piece of real estate for something impactful, for something unforgettable, for something that drops jaws, essentially. Right now, I recently switched it because Oki is looking for early stage seed investment. So we're looking for early stage tech investors for a seed round of about $450K. So I put that in my headline because I want to be upfront with regards to what my intentions are on LinkedIn. I'm not wasting anyone's time. I don't want anyone to waste my time. I want you to know exactly what I'm doing here right now. Once I get my round of funding and we secure investors, I'll switch the tagline again, because that tagline, that piece of real estate, is the most important piece of LinkedIn. Now, why does this matter? This matters because when you connect with someone, that's what they're reading. You have one opportunity to hook them. Okay? So the way to do this is with a very powerful tool called Linked Helper. It's very affordable. We're talking about $15 a month. And if you use it properly and you're converting leads, then it is very worth it, right? You'll get a good return on investment. It's actually a Chrome extension. So what happens is you could even try it for free. Some of the things that you could do, which I'll show you, you could do for free before you even purchase the license. For example, let's talk about the strategy that I use for connecting with people. So I go to my network, right? Sorry, not my network, or let's say people you may know with similar roles, or people in your area, right? And I start connecting, right? Let's say I connect, right? And all these people get an invitation to connect with me. What they see is, this person, Nate Mendel, with that tagline is trying to connect with them. This, and I could do that to 50, 100, or 150 people per day. That means 150 people potentially now know about Nate Mendel, and they now know about Oki. That's free advertising. As far as I'm concerned, at least at a minimum, it's brand recognition, right? Hundreds of people that would otherwise never hear of the word Oki or the company now have read the word Oki. It's branding, it's subconscious, whether they use me or not, whether they consider me or not, doesn't matter. And when you do that consistently and to thousands of people, it becomes a very effective free strategy. Now, what happens is, though, when you're connecting to 100 people every single day because you're trying to build your network and build out your, brand recognition, you have over here under connections, I'm sorry, not over here. It is under invitations. You accumulate under sent invitations thousands of unanswered, because not everyone is going to connect with you. When I have in my tagline, we build custom websites for free, a lot of people might think that I'm trying to sell to them, so they'll ignore those invitations. Okay, so what will happen is, yes, I grew my network to 7,000, but what about the 5,000 that didn't accept my invite? And the more sent invitations you have that are unanswered, the more LinkedIn algorithm is going to stop you from reaching out and inviting too many people. So you may be able to invite 200 people a day right now, or 400 a day, but when you have 10,000 outstanding and only 7,000 connections, LinkedIn's going to say, you're going overboard. We're not allowing you to invite more than 20 people a day. So you'll start hitting those limits. The way to resolve that is to withdraw. Over here, withdraw. You go to manage invitations, you go to sent, and you can withdraw all the people you connected to. However, there is no bulk way to do this. So you would have to literally start clicking withdraw, withdraw, withdraw. And when you have thousands of unanswered connections, you will have pages upon pages upon pages of this stuff. Okay. That's where LinkedIn Linked Helper comes in. That and many other things. They do all of this stuff and then some. So Linked Helper has an automated tool. It's actually a Chrome extension that will withdraw for you. However, what you need to know about this extension is that it works on your computer. And I'm going to show you this. It works on your computer. That means that you either have to open up a separate browser and let it run while you're working on other stuff, but it really works best when you just let it sit. So the time to do these things is at night when you're sleeping anyway, or when you're away from your computer, or when you leave your office. You make sure that the computer doesn't fall asleep, you make sure that the tab stays open and the page is open, and you let it work. It works for you. It'll save you hundreds of hours of work. It could withdraw. And that is what I did the other day. I had 5,000 unanswered invitations. So I set up Linked Helper, as you have down here, which, by the way, Linked Helper has a horrible user interface. As you can see, it's really outdated. It's old school. However, the tool itself seems to be the most robust and powerful on the market today, period. So I don't think there's a lot in terms of options when it comes to this stuff. Hopefully they'll update soon. You have to get used to the way that it's set up, but once you do, you're going to be able to really help yourself and save yourself a lot of time, and there's nothing like time in business. Here you have the options depending on the criteria, and one of the options you have here is My Invites Canceller. And when you go to the invites page, it'll recognize that. And you can tell it how many invites of your last invites do you want to keep. So let's say I had 5,000 invites, which I did. And I said, I want to keep the last 200. And then I pressed cancel invites. And it'll just start running. It'll start scrolling through. It'll actually move the page. We're going to see that in a little bit. And so I ran that for a couple hours while I was away from my computer. And guess what? It cleared out the entire queue. Now LinkedIn doesn't see this horrible ratio between people I'm inviting and people who are accepting my invite. This means that I'm able to connect to so many more people now. When we talk about connecting to more people, though, we want to look at it from a better, more effective perspective. One of the ways to make invites more effective, and you could do this with Linked Helper as well, is to connect with people but send them a little note. You see these little notes I have here? Again, when you do this manually, you could only do a couple a day. Unless you're bored out of your mind and you have nothing to do, you don't have time to do this consistently every single day to dozens of people. That's where Linked Helper comes in. By the way, I'm not making any kind of commission from Linked Helper. They don't even have a referral program set up. I know it sounds like I'm like promoting their company here, but I'm actually not. I'm promoting them because that's an effective tool, but I'm not making any money from you signing up to Linked Helper. It's just a very cool tool that I use, and I'd like to share it with you. Okay, so we're talking about a couple of things. One of the tools they have is canceling your invites. Now you know the importance of canceling your invites, withdrawing them, in other words, so that LinkedIn allows you more freedom. And you could do this stuff consistently. You know, if you're inviting people consistently, within 6 months, 12 months, you're going to build up a lot of unanswered invitations. You want to use Linked Helper to cancel those invites and start fresh. And also depends what you're doing then in business. Okay, so just a week ago and for months, I was promoting Oki in my tagline. I was saying, we build custom websites for free, Oki.com, and I was connecting to a lot of people. Trust me, it's a powerful lead generation tool. It's free completely. Oki is getting signups every single month just from that strategy alone. And I don't even write a note. I don't even say anything. All I do is connect just by people seeing Oki and seeing that tagline. And I've gotten a ton of compliments just on the tagline. So catchy, so powerful. That's the point of this tagline right here. Again, this piece of real estate right here is the most important piece of real estate. Don't waste it. Don't use it for boasting about your position in a company. Nobody cares if you're a project manager, if you're a CEO. You're on LinkedIn. You're amongst millions of CEOs. You're amongst millions of co-founders and gurus and all that stuff. Nobody cares. What people care about, if you care about conversion and leads, what are you here for? What is your objective? What do you want from my life? Anyone who uses LinkedIn heavily knows you get all kinds of inquiries. You get all kinds of automated messages. Half of them you ignore. Nobody cares about the same recycled garbage, essentially. You need to find things that stand out. You need to do things that stand out. My tagline that we build custom websites for free, Oki.com, was a powerful standout tagline, and therefore it converts. Now, just the other day, I switched it to looking for an early stage tech investor for a seed round of about $450K. Why does this matter? I'll tell you. If we go back to my network and we go to manage invitations, I cleared out my queue the other day. I made it down to 0. Right now it's at 91 because I ran the linked helper, but it was at 0. So I knew that I have 0 invitations. This means that unless someone's looking for me, or unless I'm commenting and engaging on LinkedIn, nobody's going to see my profile, right? Think about your Facebook profile or Instagram. If you have Instagram for business, it shows you how many people looked at your profile. Nobody's just looking at your profile for no good reason. Either they know about Oki or they know about you and they want to learn about you. Okay, in that case, if they know about you, then there's a reason why they're going to your profile. There's an objective. But otherwise, I don't have thousands of people just looking at my profile unless I'm creating engaging content and inspiring them to come look at my profile. why does that matter? All this psychology matters because I know that nobody's looking at my profile now. So what my tagline was last week doesn't matter. What my tagline today is matters because I'm going to start reaching out and inviting more people to connect with me. Okay? I'm going to do it using the linked helper. However, I have a new strategy. Right now, my goal in business is to find an early stage tech investor for Oki. Okay, so I state my objective very clearly on my profile, and I know that with the linked helper and my new strategy for inviting people, I'm going to be targeting early stage investors. That means that early stage investors are going to be looking at my profile, and I want them to see what my goal is. I don't want to waste their time. It's all about bottom line business, getting things done effectively without verbiage. Don't be too verbose. You know, when I create these videos, I'm very verbose. In business, people don't have time for you. People don't care about your stories, and I would even venture to say most people don't even care about your passions. Your passions are your passions because they motivate you. Nobody cares about what you're selling, right? People just bottom line business. What do you want? How can we help each other? Yes, no, end of story, right? So I change my tagline, and I come here and I use linked helper to invite new people. And this is how you do it. We're going to set it up so I can show you. We go to search. Okay, let's say I'm looking for an early stage investor. You know what? I'm gonna use a different. Let's use something else. Let's use another example. Okay, let's use another example because I already created this list. Let's say I'm looking for people who are in, okay, let's say logo designer. Okay, let's say I'm looking for a logo designer. All right, it should be people. Okay, we go over here. And we go to option 3, of their services, the linked helper. And by the way, the linked helper is, like I said, a Chrome extension. You have to download it. You download it on their website over here. You press download. It downloads. You just follow their steps to set it up. I'm not going to make a video about how to set this up. You have to just follow their steps. It's fairly simple. You have to turn on developer mode on their Chrome extensions. You have to take the extension that they download and put it in a file on your computer. Then you're going to load the unpack file, and it'll come in here, and you'll leave it enabled. And that's basically how you set it up. Once it's set up, it's automatically going to run. It's automatically going to show up here. Right over here in the corner. You could collapse it. You could open it back up. But anyway, the options, your services, are over here. And what we want to do is we want to collect, select, and invite contacts. Okay? And the way we're going to do that is by creating a list. So the way that they look at it is like this. First, you have to create a list. What kind of people are we collecting? Right? They don't jump straight into the inviting. Linked helper kind of compartmentalizes this process, and they say first we have to collect the contacts. Then you could decide what you want to do with those contacts. You could remove some, leave some, right? So let's look at that. But in order to do that, you have to create a list. Okay, so I already have a list, early stage investor. Let's create a new list. Right now I'm looking for a logo designer. So I write logo designers. Okay, so I create this list, logo designers. Okay. It expects you to take the page to the correct page. You already typed in logo designer. You already created your filters here on the front end. You could filter it down by location. Let's say I want the logo designers to be in the United States. So I apply. Okay. So there's 554,000 results on LinkedIn for logo designers in the US. Okay. Hundreds and hundreds of pages. The first step to using the system is to press collect contacts for inviting. Once you collect this, the page is going to work. Now I know you don't see this because it looks like I'm scrolling down, but I'm actually not doing anything. My hands are off my mouse. This is the system. This is the bot doing it for me. This is what I meant by you need to have a separate tab. So the first step would be let the system run and create a list. So you're going home from work, you're done for the day, you set this up, let it run. Sometimes there's a hiccup, sometimes it gets stuck. Look, if that happens, there's nothing you can do about it. You'll have to, reload the page or restart it or whatever. But for the most part, it works well. All right, it understands the algorithm. It understands what LinkedIn tries to block, these automation. So it tries to act as much as it can like a human. And what it's doing right now, it already collected, you can see down here in the right corner, it already collected 40 contacts. All right, it's collecting, and you can run this for hours. It'll collect, I let mine run for a little bit. It collected, I think, 16 or 1700 early stage investors. Over here, we see that it's collecting logo designers or people who have logo design either in their title or somewhere in their services. However, LinkedIn, filtered it. Okay, so it's collecting these contacts. This is what it does. You could stop it at any time. Okay, so let's say we're satisfied with 60. We press stop collecting contacts. Okay, so it has 70 right now. It has 70. And we click over here, view collected. You click on view collected, it takes you to everything that it collected. Right here, 70 logo designers. Okay, let's say I have a course I want to sell to logo designers. I want 70, I collect thousands of logo designer. I want to connect with them because my business is selling courses for logo designers, right? This is a pretend scenario. And I want to not only connect with them, but I want to send them a message telling them, hey, I'm Nate Mendel. I have a kick-ass course for logo design. Connect with me, check out my course, whatever I want to tell them, okay? So first you have this list, and this list will be saved in your account. This is very important because you could do whatever you want with this list. Now it's like you gathered contacts. Which, by the way, to do this, you do need to have a paid account. To withdraw invitations, you don't need an account with Linked Helper. So you could get away with testing their service for free. To do this, to automate your connections, you do need a license and an account. And like I said, $15 a month, no big deal. This will save you hours and hours. Okay? We have our list here. All right? And if you want, you could remove, if you go through it and you see some of these people are not correct for you, you could select, you could delete selected. Again, the user interface is horrible, coming from a user interface designer, of course, but it's effective nonetheless. Okay, so we could close this out. You have your list here. The second part of this, when you're still selected on this service. Oh, let's go back. Collect. The second part of this, you've selected your list, right? The second part is this tab here, message. So click on message, and this is where you can set up your message. This is the message that you are going to set up. Okay, so let's role play here. Hi, I'm Nate Mendel. Let's make it simple so I don't waste your time. Check out my my mic is in the way. It's really making things difficult here. One sec. Here, that's better. Check out my awesome course on logo design. Oki.com. Right? All right, so let's say this is my message. You have up to $2.95. This is the note. All right, we save it, we close this out. Preview, close. Okay, now we have a note. This note is what you get when you go into, when you go to a person and you wanna connect, you add a note. That's where this is gonna go. This is gonna write this note over here. Okay, I'm gonna show you how that works in a little bit. But this note is going to be entered in here. The reason you need linked helper is because, like I said earlier, you can't do this to dozens and dozens of people a day with a custom note. It takes too long. All right, let's cancel it out. So now we have the note. The third step is to start inviting. Now that you have the note and you've selected, you have your list, you have 68 logo designers in your queue, I could click Start Profile Inviting. I could also go down here and set my parameters. Invite, I could say, let's say invite 50 and then stop this, stop the process, wait 24 hours and then invite another 50. The reason you want to do this is because LinkedIn will block you and they'll warn you. Like if I try to do 50 every 2 hours, it'll say warning, high number of sent invites per day may cause profile restrictions. Okay. So it's warning you that this is a bad setup, right? Typically 100 per 24 hours is good. And besides, a lot of these strategies are very effective. So you want to do it slowly and methodically. You don't want to go overboard. You want to do it gradually. It's kind of like PPC, Google AdWords, pay-per-click. You want to spread it out. You don't want to start getting 1 million inquiries a day and you can't even keep up with the messages. You want to test these things slowly. All right, so 100 invites per day. Most of them are going to ignore you anyway. That's LinkedIn. The couple that will respond to you, you'll have hopefully meaningful conversations with them, and it'll lead to something. All right. So now you see how you set it up. Now I don't actually want to reach out to logo designers, so we're gonna go back here, and I'm gonna show you how this works with the list that I already do have. So I go to early stage investors, and what's the note that I wrote? Now this is a very important part. On LinkedIn, people know when it's an automated message because they're very, how do I say this? It's not that it's very neutral. It's that a lot of times the message doesn't really make sense to you or apply to you. Okay? So you have to be smart in the message that you're writing so that it could seem like it applies to almost everyone. Look, it's never going to apply to everyone. So what I wrote is, hi, I'm Nate Mendel, co-founder of Oki. Oki is a tech startup in the web development / hosting vertical. I'm looking for an early stage investor for a seed round of about $450K. If this is interesting to you or your firm, please let me know and I'll send you our pitch deck. Thank you. Right? Very simple, very straightforward, not wasting their time. They know why I'm reaching out to them. If they don't want to connect with me, fine. If they are interested in seeing my pitch deck, I'll send it right over. Very simple and very straightforward. However, let's think about this for a second. I have 1,600 early stage investors on my list. Not all of them have anything to do with a firm. So when I say, if this is interesting to you or your firm, and I sent it to someone who doesn't have a firm, that person's going to know, okay, well, this guy clearly didn't, do his research on me because he's saying my firm. I don't have a firm, right? You're almost never going to get a message perfectly right that applies to everyone, and that's fine. But you want to make it as general as possible, if that makes sense, right? You want it to apply to the most people you can. And I find that when you use these first name, last name, company, position, these short codes or what do they call it? Yeah, I think it's called short codes or whatever. You end up applying to a lot less, you end up being relevant to a lot less people, and people notice that it's just an automated message. So you want to do everything you can with your little message here to make sure that it applies to the most people in your criteria, okay? I'm reaching out to a lot of people who work for investment companies. That's why I wrote the word or your firm. I could decide to remove that. For now, I'll keep it. I like testing things out. I have the data. I keep track of results. I might run this on 1,000 people, see how many responses I get, and then change the message, run it on another 1,000, and then see the results I get over there. It's all about data, testing, and experimentation. All right, so I have my message. I've already collected 1,520. Okay, I have my message, and now I want to start profile inviting. It's set to 100. It already did 100 in the last hour, but I shouldn't have an issue doing a couple more just for the sake of this video so that you can see how this works. So I'm gonna click select profiles inviting, start profiles inviting. Okay, it automatically went. It already has the contacts. I'm not doing anything right now. This is the machine running. Okay, it already has the contacts. It knows the person's URL. It's going directly to it, right? Because it collected it. Okay. You see what it's doing right now? I'm not touching the computer. It's literally writing it out for me as if it's a human doing it, because it doesn't want to get stuck with security and algorithms. It doesn't want LinkedIn to sense that this is not actually a human doing it. This is why this bot, this extension, this Chrome extension is brilliant. Now there are other bots out there, Ubot and various other bots that could do similar things. I've found them to be complicated and annoying to work with. This does seem to be the simplest, even though the user interface is horrible. Look what it's doing. Now again, you have to run this at the end of the day. You have to run it when you're not on your computer. This has to run for an hour or two. And look what it's doing. Next action will start in 32 seconds. It already knows that how LinkedIn works, right? They're on top of all the LinkedIn algorithm and security stuff. So in order for it to be very human-like, it's going to wait. It's going to wait a half a minute. It's going to wait a minute if it has to. And what it does when it goes to the person's profile who it already collected, who I've filtered down, it's going to scroll down his page. It's going to look at something, maybe his information. Let's see, right? Look, it comes to the page. It scrolls down. It looks at everything. It scrolls back up. It'll click on something, right? It'll look at their information. Why is it doing all this? Why doesn't it just go and connect? Because it's trying to avoid the security systems and algorithms that LinkedIn set up. This is very human-like behavior. Okay? And it is filling out the message for me, and it'll run like this for hours. I already invited 100. Now I'm holding at 101. So as you can see, it takes a nice 2 minutes per invite. But guess what? You could run this at night, right? You don't have time to do this, like I said. It'll just run for hours every single day. Set it up, start it at 7 p.m. when you leave the office. Leave your computer on every day, and it'll automatically run every single day at 7 p.m. again, if that's the parameters you set up here. All right. I'm going to stop it. You could stop it manually by just click stop profile inviting. Okay, so now it's stopped, and that's it. Now if I go to my network, invitations, sent invitations, there you go. I have 92 sent invitations with the little notes, right? Now, like I said earlier, most people are not going to respond. Maybe it's not interesting or it's not relevant to them. Like this guy says here, early stage investor. Maybe he's not a tech investor, so he may never get back to me. He may or may not. Some of these people already got back to me, and I'm already in contact with them. So, in startups, raising capital is a long and tedious process. You have to reach out to 1,000 investors to even get a response from 10. So I don't mind doing it in this fashion. But when it builds up, when in 3 months from now, when I have reached out to 3,000 investors and maybe spoken to 50 of them, I'll go here again as we started, and I'm going to do my invites canceller, and I'm going to withdraw all of the investors' invites who didn't accept me, right? I don't need to have this stocked up and it screw up my ability to network properly on people who don't have an interest in being connected with me. And if you don't have an interest in being connected with me, then you're essentially a waste of space. So in a couple months, I'll go back to my invites canceller, withdraw all of these invites. Whoever connected, great. Whoever didn't, out you go. Or as Kevin O'Leary would say, you're dead to me. And you move on. And in 3 or 6 months from now, I might have a different objective. I might change. I probably will change. Once I get my funding, I'm going to change my tagline, create a new list by going to collect, and by creating a new list, I'm going to create a new list of people I want to reach out to. And I'm going to create a new message, and I'm going to start reaching out to them. So as you can see, linked helper, I'll put a link in the description below. I mean, the website is linkedhelper.com. Very, very powerful. It could do a lot more things. Maybe I'll make more videos in the future about what else it could do and the benefits of them. But as you can see, well, you could see all the services here. You could build a company extractor. You could build a CSV file with companies that are relevant to you. Connection remover, company inviter, adding a signature to your stuff. There's a lot that you could do. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this will help improve your automation on LinkedIn. If there's a particular video or tutorial that you'd like to see, let me know. Thank you for watching.